Hello, and welcome to Seth and Megan Talk About Game of Thrones. I'm Seth.
I'm Megan.
Megan, tell us about Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 4.
So, I think this episode had a lot of challenges for it. It had a lot to live up to with what Season 8, Episode 3 was. This epic battle sequence. And I think it did what it should have done. It went more character-driven. More about the character relationships and kind of setting up the end battle here. Spent a lot of time having those moments like we did in episode 2 of characters interacting and talking. The episode begins with the funeral pyres for everyone who has died.
Yeah, dozens of funeral pyres across the front lawn of Winterfell.
Piled up with lots of people. Later on they reference that pretty much half of everyone who came to Winterfell for the battle is dead.
All the Dothraki. Half the Unsullied.
And half the Northmen. And we see each of the major characters get a moment with someone from the battle. Daenerys and Jorah, Sam, and
I just can't remember his name. The Night's
Watchman. It sounds
Watchman
like Bronn. I can't remember.
And Jon looking over the body of Lady Mormont.
And then they light the funeral pyres, and then we cut to a feast. And I think the commentary after the episode was really great about the feast, and not something you noticed the first time watching, but then they pointed out, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm totally following that.
First it's like having a feast after a funeral, which it is. But then it takes on a much more jovial atmosphere when...
Spoiler alert.
Gendry, we see Gendry, he lived the battle, and he gets up from the table to go off
to find Arya.
And on his way out, he is stopped by Daenerys, who asks him if he knew about his father and his conquest to kill her and all the Targaryens.
And at first you're like, what's Daenerys doing?
Now's not the time to make enemies here. But then she surprises everyone by legitimizing him as Robert Baratheon's son.
And giving him the title of Lord of
Stormlands, yeah.
So Gendry's super excited. He gets to be Lord of Storm's End. Gets a castle.
Storm's End?
Yes, that's the name of where the Baratheons rule.
Not Stormlands.
Well, that's where Storm's End is.
Oh, okay.
So he finds this out, and then he finally finds Arya. And
she's practicing with her bow.
Of course. And you get this wonderful moment between the two of them where Gendry pleads, lays his heart bare for Arya.
He proposes to her, come to Stormland with me and be my lady.
And, she says something which she said before. I don't know if you remember this. I remember it because I watched Season 7 recently. She finds Nymeria in Season 7 with the pack of wolves.
Oh, yeah.
And she's like, that's not you. So she tells Gendry, I'm not a lady. That's not me. And it's a really little cute callback to that. But she turns him down.
At least she does it gently.
Yes. But that changes the whole mood of the feast. Everyone's much more of like, yay, we did it, versus so many people died. Oh my gosh.
But there's still some celebrating happening. Tyrion, Jaime, and Brienne are engaged in a drinking game from a few seasons ago.
Yeah, Tyrion's favorite drinking game where you try and figure out things about the other person and they have to drink.
Pretty much never have I ever.
Kind of, except more the opposite. Names.
Have I done? Yeah. So pretty much the same kind of drinking game.
And, Tyrion figures out Brienne is a virgin. And this
upsets Brienne.
It's Brienne, so yeah, she's very sensitive about it, and she kind of storms off. But then Jaime follows her, and we get that moment where so many people have been waiting for, where Brienne and Jaime are together finally.
Because of course they would have some unresolved feelings for each other. They went on that life-altering journey together in season 2, 3.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And so much of who Jaime is now is from that experience. But ultimately, it turns out to be almost for naught. We'll get to that, though.
Well, also at this time, Jon is being congratulated on his victory and for riding the dragon by Tormund Giantsbane and some of the other Northmen and wild folk, congratulating him on being such a king for riding the dragon into battle and into victory. And Daenerys overhears this and sees the way they celebrate him and congratulate him, but no one is really acknowledging her.
And this really gets to her because of the information that she's learned about Jon and that he is actually a Targaryen.
Yeah, that he's her nephew.
And technically he is
the true
heir
to the Iron Throne.
So she sees everyone flocking around him in a way they never have for her, and it really starts to get to her. And I think that's kind of one of the major themes of this episode is we see Daenerys kind of sliding down into isolation, and kind of losing her sense of self and who she's fought so hard to be because she's losing everything.
She confronts Jon in his quarters after the feast, and at first it seems like they're gonna just be able to get past it, but they can't.
No, it's harder for Jon than it is for Daenerys. Like they say in the commentary, for Daenerys, Targaryens, dating, marrying relatives is nothing new.
But for Jon, that's not something that happens in the North.
No, it's not something he's comfortable with.
Now, Jon is more or less willing to get past it, but Daenerys wants him to swear secrecy, that he'll never tell anyone else that he's a Targaryen.
Because it never goes well for Targaryens when that kind of stuff happens. If you're at all, if like me and a huge fan of Game of Thrones and you've read every bit of history on the Targaryens you can, you know that whenever two Targaryens are fighting for a claim to the throne, whether they want the throne or not, it causes conflict.
And like any would-be monarch, Daenerys does not want anyone to challenge her claim to power.
No, and she knows that even though Jon, and you can tell he's genuine, like even though he is swearing to her.
Oh yeah, he has no interest. No interest in it.
She knows that that's not what matters. What matters is if his sisters, if Sansa finds out, if the Northmen find out, they're going to rally behind him, and it's going to be bad.
And then, well, obviously, and spoiler alert, Jon tells. He tells Arya and Sansa outside in the weirwood tree garden. Well, actually, I guess technically Bran tells them, but Jon introduces the whole idea.
Yeah, and then Sansa, they mentioned, she's learned so much from all of her experiences, and she knows what this means. She knows exactly what Daenerys knows, that this is going to give Jon an opportunity to have a legitimate claim to the throne. And she knows exactly what moves she can make to make that happen.
Right.
And that begins with her telling Tyrion the truth.
Yeah. Tyrion and Sansa have an exchange on one of the walls of the Winterfell castle. Sansa learns that Tyrion both admires and fears Daenerys, but truly believes she's what's right for Westeros.
Yes, but this is before he knows the truth about Jon.
But then Sansa proposes, what if someone else could rule Westeros? What if there's another claimant to the throne?
And, of course, this gets back, Tyrion tells Varys. And Varys sees what's happening with Daenerys. He sees her spiraling into kind of a darker side of herself, and he's concerned. So when he gets this information, he starts to think that maybe he should not be supporting Daenerys, that maybe Jon is what is right for Westeros.
Because as Varys reminds Tyrion later, his loyalty has always been to Westeros. All he cares about is what's best for everyone in the country. And he does not think that's Daenerys.
No, he's starting to have serious doubts because he's seeing those darker impulses. Initially Tyrion tried, the reason I'm so good for her as hand is because I can, tone back those dark impulses. But
But as Varys reminds him, Tyrion has so far not been
Mm-mm.
successful in tempering Daenerys' impulses.
And the events of this episode are only going to do more to fuel those impulses. Two major deaths, I would say, in this episode. Major spoilers. First, her dragon.
So after they've done, everyone's grieved and feasted at Winterfell and recovered a little bit, they make their next move to go down to Dragonstone and just outside of King's Landing.
To cut off supplies, to cut off the city, and to essentially fuel anger at Cersei.
And now, just like in Season 7, Season 8 does things much more efficiently than realistically. So they sail down from outside Westeros to Dragonstone in, I don't know, a day, 2 days.
Well, it's taken longer than that. They just cut any kind of indication that time has passed.
But they're ambushed outside Dragonstone. Euron Greyjoy and his fleet are waiting behind the rocks with
they've got
the ship-mounted ballista, giant crossbows, or scorpions, as they're called in the show.
And one of them hits Rhaegal, I believe.
Yeah, in the chest, and one goes through his wing, and then finally the third goes through his neck, and he crashes, sinks beneath the ocean.
And in that moment, I was just like shock.
She couldn't breathe.
No. And I had the moment because, Tormund had been talking to Jon before Jon had left. And oh, you're not riding the dragon, Dad? He's like, nah.
I'm just gonna take
He's recovering from his injuries. He doesn't need me on his back, too.
Well,
and I just had this moment of oh my God, Jon could have been on him when that happened.
Megan was in shock when the dragon was killed. I saw it get pierced in the heart and then through the wing and then through the neck, and I didn't even register it. It was just, oh, the dragon's dead.
Yeah, and then you the season's doing so well with really making you convinced that characters are going to die. Because then Daenerys, you can just see she is just livid.
And at first, her first impulse is to dive bomb on Drogon and burn the Euron Greyjoy fleet to nothing. And they've got all their scorpions locked and loaded, and they let loose them all at the same time, just as Daenerys comes to her senses and pulls up on Drogon.
Manages to avoid being hit. Whew, that was a hard moment.
That's 2 out of 3 dragons dead. Remember, I said I thought Season 8 would finish off the other 2, because maybe Daenerys doesn't get to win in the end.
Yes, and we'll get to speculation about all that stuff, because there's the other big death.
Yeah, so once Daenerys pulls Drogon up and they fly away to safety, Euron has his fleet reload their ballista and set their sights on the fleet sailing to Dragonstone, and they completely decimate all those ships.
And you see Tyrion and some of the others jump into the water, and they swim to shore, and they arrive on shore, and Grey Worm is frantic. He cannot find Missandei.
And just before the ships were torn apart by the giant arrows, Grey Worm had ordered Missandei to get to one of the skiffs.
So, you're convinced she has to be somewhere, but he can't find her. And then we cut to Cersei learning that this was successful. It went well. Euron's back there with her, and that's another example of them just kind of skipping some time. Yeah. And you kind of zoom away from her as they leave the room, and you see slow pan up, and it's Missandei. They captured her. And yeah, as they mention in the commentary, Cersei doesn't take prisoners.
No, there was no chance Missandei was coming out of that alive.
No, and so after her capture and everything goes so poorly, Daenerys has another sit down with her council. That's really when Varys starts to get very concerned about her mental well-being.
He tells Daenerys that this is a mistake. If you try to take King's Landing now, many innocent people will die.
But at this point, Daenerys is pretty over it. her goal is to get rid of Cersei, and at this point, it's by any means necessary. But she decides that she will listen to Tyrion, and she'll go and demand Cersei surrender. And if she surrenders, great. If not, she gave her a chance. She tried. So they do that, and Missandei's out there. And Tyrion makes a plea first with Qyburn. And when that doesn't go well, he marches closer to Cersei, pleads with Cersei, appealing to her motherly side. But at this point, Cersei's pretty much gone. And I don't think Tyrion somehow has fully realized that until now.
No.
That at this point, Cersei is convinced if she doesn't win, she's going to die. Doesn't matter what Tyrion says. It's win or die at this point for Cersei. And she's willing to risk it all.
So they're up there on this platform overlooking the whole scene just outside the city. It's Daenerys and Grey Worm and Tyrion and what's left of the Unsullied, as well as Drogon. They're high up on this platform. Cersei, Missandei, the Mountain, and a bunch of Lannister archers. And for a second, you seem like maybe Cersei will find that last shred of humanity that she might have, but she doesn't.
No.
And she tells Missandei that if she has any last words, she should say them now.
And Missandei's last word is Dracarys, which is, obviously signals Daenerys to burn them all. But, again, makes you concerned about Daenerys' mental well-being. But of course, then the Hound kills Missandei.
The Mountain,
that's what I meant.
It would have been one hell of a thing had the Hound killed Missandei.
Yes.
That would have come completely out of left field.
Ron Clegane. Yeah, he kills her. Her body tumbles off the wall. And obviously, my heart broke.
Oh, and Grey Worm is on the verge of being violently ill as her headless corpse falls down to the ground.
Yeah.
And then, right after that happens, we get this wonderful bit of the camera holding on Daenerys for a few seconds as we watch her expression change from complete shock and horror and grief to just violent determination.
Yeah, and it's in that moment that you know that she's gonna burn it down.
The episode ends with Daenerys turning around and marching off to her dragon.
Yeah. So, kind of big takeaways from this episode.
This episode was a good episode of Game of Thrones.
Seth probably likes it more than me.
You didn't like it that much?
I liked it. I did. But I didn't feel it was evenly paced. It's probably my biggest issue with it. I didn't feel like it was I felt like we spent too much time at the beginning, not enough time on the end bits.
So with only 6 episodes in a final season, they're really trying to balance efficient storytelling and character development.
Yeah, and I get that. And
I think they're doing a good job.
Overall, I do. I do think this episode was a little oddly paced. For the first half of it, I was like, okay, but what are we doing? But the second half was phenomenal. But I do think it had some pacing issues, but more so, I did find the Jon and Daenerys dynamic really interesting, and it sets up concerns I didn't have before this episode.
Such as?
Daenerys not making out of the season alive. I think this is increasingly a possibility that...
I always thought that was a possibility.
She's going to become consumed so much with a desire to kill Cersei that she's going to do something stupid.
I always thought it was a possibility that either Jon or Daenerys would not live to see the, non-existent 9th season. I think it'd be really bold to kill them both.
Yeah,
I think one of them will survive. And
I don't think we'll do both.
Right now, they are setting it up to imply that it won't be Daenerys, I think.
Yeah, I think Daenerys' mental,
she's
deterioration
becoming to resemble her father.
And it's really being kind of implied that she's willing to do anything to kill the queen, including, just charging in on Drogon and dying in the process from all those massive scorpions.
And taking hundreds, thousands of innocent men, women, and children with her.
Yeah, and that's concerning. Arya not making it out of the season alive is also now more of a concern.
Seems like
for
a
me.
possibility. So Daenerys and the Unsullied and her closest advisors sail down to Dragonstone, while Jon and what's left of the Northmen are riding down from Westeros. But then the Hound and Arya decide they'll go their own way together. The Hound has unfinished business, assuming he wants to kill his brother.
Yeah, kill the Mountain.
Which is something I'd love to see. The last 2 episodes, we have to have a show-off between the 2 Cleganes.
Mm-hmm.
Arya joins him on his trek down.
It's obviously clear that she wants to go kill Cersei.
No, because they both talk about not really expecting to make it out alive.
No, and both having unfinished business. And
I think they both say they have no plan of going back to the north ever again.
And Arya has had her list forever, and Cersei and the Mountain are really the only 2 left alive that are on her list.
She could help the Hound get revenge and cross that name off her list, and then she could kill... I don't know, though. I mean... Alright, so, in the last episode, not everyone thought the last episode was phenomenal. I mean,
those people are wrong.
So it's really cool that Arya did get to kill the Night King in the end. The thing is, though, Arya and the Night King just have absolutely no character history together.
I don't think they needed it.
So, the only 2 characters in the show who do are Jon. I mean, Jon just a little bit because they've run into each other. They saw each other behind the wall, I think, in the last season. And then the Bran, because he's the Three-Eyed Raven, and the Three-Eyed Raven is supposed to have some kind of connection with the Night King. So, probably the most logical thing to do would have one of those 2 kill the Night King. Maybe have Bran surprise everyone with some magic, whatever. But with Arya and Cersei, I mean, what I think, which is really the most dramatically satisfying conclusion, is to have Jaime kill Cersei. He breaks Brienne's heart by deciding to leave in the middle of the night. You think that Brienne and Jaime are gonna give a chance at being happy together. But Jaime just can't. He can't stay away from Cersei. But I don't know if he wants to go back to King's Landing to fight and die on Cersei's side. I think that would be... It'd be fitting for Game of Thrones, but it'd be so disappointing after everything he's been through as a character in this show. Just to have him change allegiance on a dime like that.
It wouldn't be the first time, though.
No,
That's
it wouldn't.
It wouldn't be terribly unexpected because Jaime's done it before. But I think there are a lot of really great options for who kill Cersei. I really do think there's a lot of great options. I don't think Arya will get 2 because she already got the Night King. I don't think they'll give Arya...
Arya might die trying to get to Cersei.
I don't think they'll give Arya killing the Night King and killing Cersei.
They could give it to Jon.
I don't think it'll be Jon either.
They could give it to Daenerys.
I don't think it'll be Daenerys.
And they could give it to Tyrion.
Yeah, this one, I'm pretty convinced it'll be Jaime.
But I think the best choice is Jaime. I truly think that's
what he's going back to King's Landing to do. He knows that if he tries, he's going to die, too. But I think he intends to go and kill her and die himself.
Maybe it'll be kind of like Romeo and Juliet. Maybe Jaime and Cersei will kill each other.
Yeah, and I could see that, I mean, at this point.
Which that would also, I think, be quite a poetic fitting for Game of Thrones. Oh, we also forgot to mention that Bronn's in this episode.
Yes! Oh, that scene with Bronn.
That's a great... Bronn has the best dialogue of his entire run in this scene.
I think Bronn's whole character development is something that's really interesting because he's
a sellsword through and through.
Such a non-character. And he just has become this really interesting character that's always following around Lannisters.
Well, he follows around money. Loyalty to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
He shows up with his crossbow, and, he's there supposed to be to kill Jaime and Tyrion. But Tyrion proves that he's still clever. He's made some blunders in the last 2 seasons, but he remembers a deal he made with Bronn a while back. that if anyone ever offered him money to kill Tyrion, Tyrion would pay double. Well, right now, Cersei is offering to make Bronn
Lord of Riverrun.
Lord of Riverrun, and Tyrion says, "I'll make you Lord of Highgarden."
And, that's pretty... You can't really get much better than that, because the Lord of Highgarden is also the warden of the,
The East?
It's
They don't do...
not Riverlands. The warden of... It's not the Stormlands, not the Riverlands. The Reach. Lord of the Reach. Or Warden of the Reach. Or... I don't remember. The regions
It's a big, important title.
The regions are hard to remember.
There's so many of them.
And so, that's sufficient. But Bronn makes it clear he means business.
Mm-hmm. And if Tyrion cannot deliver on that promise, he'll kill him dead.
Yeah, and I just think it is such a great exchange. And so he does it such in a lighthearted way. Like, I'll be back after the war. I'm done fighting. You guys work it out. If Cersei wins, I get Riverrun. If you win, I get Highgarden. So have fun.
And then when Bronn backs out of the room, Tyrion might be bluffing, of course. He probably has no real intention of finding a way to make it possible to make Bronn warden of the whatever.
Well, Highgarden's empty right now.
True. It's just sitting there for anyone to take. It's kind of like, though, when Ben Kenobi lies to Han Solo about paying him much more money. It's not going to happen.
But now the last 2 episodes are going to be interesting. There's a lot to resolve, but I think it's feasible. I really do think it's doable to resolve all of this. I'm really curious to see how they take King's Landing. At this point, I'm convinced Cersei loses. I don't think there's a chance Cersei wins this. But it's who exactly wins that I'm not real sure of.
I think the next episode might be all about sacking King's Landing and killing Cersei and all that. And the last episode of the whole show would just be about resolving that. The last episode will be, what do we do now?
Yes. I have something really small and random.
What's
I think
that?
That would be a fun little closer. Ghost.
Oh, yeah. John's pet direwolf.
Yes. So I've seen this on social media and stuff, and a lot of people talking about Ghost. A lot lately, they only ever show Ghost just to remind you that he's still alive. He just gets scanned over in the fight scenes, or gets shown standing on the wall of Winterfell, just to remind you he's still alive. He stopped being a character. Quite a while ago.
I don't even remember the last time you were supposed to care about the direwolves.
Well, Ghost is the last
Season
one.
1?
No.
2?
Ghost was integral a couple times beyond the wall with Jon.
He took him to the castle with him?
Yeah!
I completely forgot. I've only seen every episode once.
I've seen most of them at least twice, if not 3 times. But yeah, there are times where Ghost was useful beyond the wall and such. And I really think... Now, the writers are almost never lazy. I really think they just got lazy with Ghost. They're like, alright, we just need it, he's in the way now, we need to either kill him off or do something with him.
He's a wolf, he can't talk, so you gotta...
But he was useful.
You gotta push him to the wayside so that the characters who can talk have story to do.
But there are times that he, saved Jon's life or did something useful. He used to be useful. But he's just kind of been there.
Well, now Jon completely acknowledges his existence and gives him as a parting gift to Tormund.
Because he's headed back beyond the wall.
Yeah, once the winter storms calm down or whatever, they're just going home.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, someone in Game of Thrones is getting a happily ever after. That's nice.
Yeah, and here, take Ghost with you. He'll be happier beyond the wall. And Ghost just kind of looks at you, and you can see he, was in the battle.
Oh,
and
then Jon also figures out that Gilly is pregnant with her second baby.
Yes, and they want to name him Jon, and that's adorable.
It is. I thought Gilly was looking fat. I mean, not that I'm in any position to talk, but I mentioned this after the last episode.
You did.
Said, is Gilly fat now? And she's pregnant. She's not fat. I'm sorry.
Yes, and I do wonder, they haven't really said anything explicitly, But I assume Sam will go be the lord of his family, you know.
What region are they from?
I don't remember what region they're from, or even
We have
the
the
name
whole
of their
map.
city.
We have the whole map in our apartment. We'll figure out where they're from.
But I do wonder if he's going to be Lord Tarly.
Is this the last time we're going to see Sam in the whole show?
It might be. That might be it.
That's okay.
Yeah, they're thinning out the
He's
character.
never been my favorite character.
They're thinning out the character pool to simplify things these last 2 episodes. You know, all the wildlings are going to be gone. Brienne staying back at Winterfell.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Sansa staying back at Winterfell. Davos is just kind of hanging out.
These last 2 episodes are going to be just the major players.
Yes. And I'm curious to see what exactly happens with these major players.
I can't wait. We're 2 Sundays away from knowing how it all ends.
I'm not ready. Just not ready for it to end.
You can always watch the episodes again and again.
Oh, I will.
Do you have any other closing thoughts?
No, I just can't wait to see. I can and can't wait to see how it ends. I'm nervous. I'm excited. Sunday can't come fast enough.
Is next Sunday Mother's Day?
It is. Ooh. I'll have to make that a short visit.
Yeah, you have to balance spending time with your mother and watching Game of Thrones. Clearly, there's no contest.
I mean, sorry, Mom. Love you, but gotta see the episode. And I can't wait, because I'll get spoilers if I wait. So, I think that's all. So, thanks for watching. If you would like, hit that subscribe button. See some more videos of us talking about Game of Thrones, and hopefully...
Tell us your thoughts on the episode.
We'll do some other videos, too, hopefully, soon. We've got some ideas, and we're working out channel names as well. So, be sure to subscribe and share, so we can build up a little bit of a following here.
Tell all your friends. I'll watch all 2 of our videos now.
You know, what is that, Rome wasn't built in a day? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Alright, I'm Megan.
I'm Seth.
And thanks for watching.